Going to. All right. So I am so happy to have you lovely ladies on this evening. And like I said, I know there's a bunch more out there that are waiting for this recording. They couldn't join us tonight, but that's okay. We're still going to push the goodness out there and hear a little bit about our beautiful guest tonight. Now, I just want to spend a quick little thank you because Teresa, I really appreciate you jumping on, sharing your story, and I'm gonna hold it back and try not to cry and have emotion. Lori doesn't know, but I'm about to have a baby any day too. So like I'm hoping that my emotions will stay in check, right? But a little bit about Teresa. She is now living in Sylvan Lake. I can't remember if you told me that I think you were from somewhere else. Sorry.
I've
Yes,
been
you
at,
were.
I've been from a lot of places.
Okay. Okay. I was like, I don't think you were born
I've
right there
moved a
anyway,
lot.
but you are.
No, I was from Northern Alberta.
Okay, awesome. And you are also an author of Just Breathe, which is based on hope beyond hurt, correct?
Yes,
And
yes.
I can't wait to dive a little, you'll give us a little tidbit on that too. And you've been
Hmm.
town counselor for a couple of years, right? Two, no, two terms. Yes.
Yeah.
And you're very passionate about your community leadership. You love encouraging others. Now, something special about you that I love that you shared a little bit, and I really appreciate you being open about it, is that you have survived trauma in your life. And
Hmm.
now this has brought you to a whole new passion, and you love speaking with humor and encouraging others and just uplifting and sharing your story and really giving encouragement and support that way. And I really appreciate that because, there's a lot of people that go through trauma and they don't, they hold it in, they don't know how to deal with it, they let it take over. And for you to come forth and want to talk about it and be an inspiration to people is honestly a true blessing. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. And I'd love for you to share a little piece about it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this conversation. I'm always really excited about opportunities, especially like my subtitle, my book is Hope Beyond Hurt. There's so much hurt in our world and in people, family and relationships. And I mean, it's endless. And I just love to see people find out not only who they are, but the fact that there is hope beyond the hurt. We can live through it and be able to be used in it, even without avoiding it, because that is always the tendency, or often the tendency in which, I mean, that's why um, our rehabilitation centers are full and people are hurting and they have maybe not been given the tools to work beyond the hurt. My story begins that she's just like any other girl at school. She has long blonde hair and she loves volleyball and contributes well to the team. She has friends and the guys like her. She's a lot of fun. Gets kind of loud sometimes. But she does well in high school, but only got there because her principal in junior high believed in her. But when she arrives home from school, she's explosive, she's angry, she's frustrated, and the pain surfaces. She can't hold it in any longer. She hurts herself and those around her. The venom spews from her lips toward her family because the secret seeps. I was but a toddler when the sexual abuse began, and it continued until my grandfather died when I was 10. I had no power to stop it and nobody to protect me. 60 years ago, there were no words to describe what was happening to me, and I was way too little to put it into words. All I knew was that somehow it made me feel bad and ugly. It made me feel like I was a pile of shit, and this was all I was good for. Every time he abused me, that's what he told me. Those words echoed through my life, and I still have to remind myself that they are not true, especially when I feel hurt or betrayed. As a little girl, I cried alone in my bed at night because I had no one to tell. I didn't dare tell anyone because the abuse got worse if he suspected I had whispered a word. He threatened over and over. He would get my little sisters that or if I told anyone, he would get my little sisters, and if I didn't come each time, I was beckoned. So I went. I was afraid and angry all the time. I didn't trust anyone. I just learned how to lie really well at a very young age. In fact, in grade 2, I won an award for lying. I don't remember what it was for, but I do remember how guilty I felt for winning it. I don't know. I think it was something like, checklist, brush teeth, washed face, made my own lunch, which I know for sure was never true because I didn't make my own lunch. But when I got home, I bragged loudly that I was a winner. But inside, I knew that I was a liar. I lived in a world of pretending everything was okay. But the hateful messages that traveled through my mind all the time had to be kept quiet somehow. So I was loud and obnoxious. I was accused of being too loud so many times. And I would be told, you're in my face way too often because the secret seeps. It seeps in the strangest ways. At age 10, I thought my life had just begun. He was now dead, and I didn't have to remember it anymore. No one knew, so then it must be gone, right? I thought I put it away. I like to put it in the words of saying that I put it in my emotional vault and it would never have to be revisited again. But it doesn't matter how we lock it away, the secret still seeps. It showed up in how I lived. In junior high, I tried to prove myself to everyone and that I had value. I played hard. I did really well in volleyball, but failed miserably in school. I needed to cover up the pain inside myself. I hated myself and would self mutilate. But I hid it well. No one knew how many bruises and scabs I had in my hair. The pain was deep. The hurt was torturous. The longing for love was desperate, and suicide was always on the tip of my thoughts. Because the secret was real. It hurt me and it hurt others. And I knew I needed to change, but how and what? Well, it was just before my last days in high school after an all night New Year's Eve party. I was alone in my bedroom, wishing I could die, wishing it could be all over. I cried out to God. I'd heard about God. I knew that I had been told that God loves me. I didn't believe it. But I thought, if you're real, I'm going to yell and I'm going to say the words wrong. But my thoughts to God that night were, I'm a screwed up mess. I know that you have the power to turn off my heart. And honestly, that is what I would have preferred. But if you don't turn off my heart, I ask you to help me change my life. And then I added something very unusual so that I can help others. It was the beginning of a time when I realized that maybe my pain could help someone. By God's grace and the help of many counselors and people who cared, I'm here today. I'm here to say that life is not always what we hoped it would be, but we can all be all we were designed to be through hard work and intentional healing. With the staggering statistics of 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 5 boys that have experienced sexual abuse before the age of 18, that puts a fire in my soul to tell my story of hope beyond hurt, not in spite of it, but because of it. Sometimes it's simply taking the next breath or the next step in order to feel free enough to keep going. Because out of my deepest pain, my greatest purpose was born.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, that is truly amazing. And like I said, I just want to thank you again because, like most people, right, they go through, they don't know how, they, yeah, it's tough. And I guess the hard part too is it's not really talked about. Like, I'm sure, like in your, you know, age of growing up, I'm sure it was shunned upon. I'm sure even if you felt like you could reach out, it wasn't really a thing, right? Um,
Well, there were no words to describe what was happening to me because I was so young. First of all, I didn't have words. But second of all, I'm 67. And so because of that, um, they're just that generation. I think my mom would have cared, but didn't know. And I was living in such fear that I couldn't express it.
yeah, and the fact that you have taken trauma, and trauma can be, in my opinion, trauma can be in all sorts of forms of life, right?
Absolutely.
And it's what we do with it and how we let it overtake us, right? There's so many people that have allowed that, and um it's just a true inspiration. I love meeting people like you that have taken something horrible, right? And like you said, it's now your inspiration to go out there and spread the word and to talk to people and let them know that it's okay. And if you're struggling, um, there's tools, there's all sorts of things. And when I got to meet you, something I also felt very empowering and very inspirational was that the fact that you have gone even into like a jail, right? And you have spoke
Mhm.
and you have shared your story to, you know, people that maybe have done some really horrible things because of trauma or certain, right? And
Mhm.
that you still
Yes.
see the good in that and that you want to make a difference. I find that so empowering. So, yeah.
Mm.
I can you share?
Thank you. Yes. And yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying,
I
can you?
just
Oh,
I
sorry, people
the
in.
ex no, go ahead.
No, I think you were froze. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there for a second.
Okay. No, that's fine. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I know that in speaking in a prison, high security prison, I it really gave me a passion for the women behind bars. And just this couple days ago, I had the opportunity to hear Theron Fleury speak again, and he's written a couple of books, and he was the young man who, as a young junior in hockey, was abused by his coach. And but him and I have shared a couple of times now, and the thing that always stands out to me is, we our stories are not pretty, but there are a lot of people who suffer from all types of abuse and neglect and fear and no power, like kids who have parents who won't allow them to think for themselves, and they come into these relationships and they don't know how to treat it, they don't know what to call it. And even though today we have opportunities in a new way with Me Too movement and all of those, it it still seems to be such a big secret. And Rick Warren says it so perfectly when he says, "We're as sick as our secrets." And that is what happens. I mean, the secret seeps out. We're sick, and there's a lot of really sick, and not sick as in, but physically even, where people have become ill. I had to have 10 surgeries to repair what had happened to me. And so many times I have wondered, that was it really physical, but it becomes physical because you're internalizing all that pain. But yes, I've had some incredible opportunities to be a keynote speaker at Women's Day events and National Women's Auxiliary and family violence vigils and conferences and women's conferences and retreats. And it's been an incredible opportunity. And you would not believe how many times I have someone who has never told another person. I had one lady who was 88 years old. She'd never told her secret. And there is hope, but we need each other. We need community. We need to connect. We need to take the time to, connect with people, whether it's online through a Zoom call or through getting together for coffee. We need connection because we won't release our pain unless we learn how to connect.
You nailed, yeah, you nailed it. And like I said, I just find you a huge inspiration. And yeah, if I could ask you if there's any little
Mm-hmm.
piece of advice or something that you could um share, maybe if it's someone listening to this, or if you know someone that might be experiencing something and we want to spread the word, we want to um, give them hope. Is there something that you could share that would help with that?
You mean as far as an actual place for them to get help? Is that what you're asking?
Or like
Or
any word
would
of
it?
encouragement?
Okay. Well, I go back to, if without community, when we are looking through a trauma lens, without community, we do not actually begin to be able to release those deep, dark, and it comes off in layers. I personally have gone to a trauma counselor, and I still have someone in my life who has that role, because it doesn't actually go away. You learn how to do life with it, and you look through that lens, because my lens is very different than someone else's lens who have not suffered a deep trauma, especially as a child. But if we don't learn how to grow together, dare or risk to find someone within your circle. And maybe it means, like I always said, I had to pay somebody $200 an hour to be my friend, to be my real friend. And it's not because they I just didn't feel safe anywhere else. Who could I tell that wasn't going to judge me? Who could I tell that wasn't going to, when I came out with my abuse, the most important words I heard were, "I believe you." I had a girlfriend who I called over because I had a seriously big flashback, and she came over, and the most wonderful words that I heard were, "I believe you." And so when somebody comes and wants to share something, and it might be the first layer, and it may not seem like that big a deal, but listen deeper, care farther, and take time to build that trust and open your heart because there's so much hurt. People don't trust because they've been hurt. And when you've been abused, and it doesn't matter what form, you you learn how to survive. You learn how to cope, and all of those layers that you build around you are to protect. They're not to hurt. They're to protect. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it totally does, right? I think that we all, and why I wanted to gear it towards that type of a question is because, like, we know that there's support out there, right? But it's
Mhm.
it's not as always easy to reach out to those avenues, those support systems that are out there, right? So that's
Mhm.
what yes, you did definitely answer my question on that. Now, anybody that wants to get their hands on your beautiful book, I know I do, and I have read it and I love it. And it was a beautiful gift that you shared with me. So, anybody that wants to get their hands on your book,
Mm.
if they're local, because I'm from Red Deer and Teresa's from Sylvan. So, if you're local and it's something that you want to read more and learn more about Teresa's story and how she inspires others, 100% we can help you out with that. And I know you said also too it is available on Amazon, so people that are not local or anything, but honestly, reach out. I will
Mhm.
share Teresa's information with anybody that's watching and get you in contact. And like I said, because you have a huge heart and you truly are just passionate about sharing your story, making a difference. And um, like I said, the day I went for coffee with you, it was like I knew you forever, and it was beautiful. And like I said, it just you touched a part of my heart, and I was like, I just would love for you to share your story, and I want to spread your story, and I. You know, like you said, if it helps that one other person out there or anything, that is the purpose, right? And for people to know truly that they're not alone, and it can affect our day to day, our relationships, our work, our like so many things, right? And it's just knowing that people care and us to take time, especially I feel nowadays, to take time to listen
Mm.
and um, have more of those in person relationships and care, right? So, in closing, is there anything else that you want, or does anybody have any quick questions that they might want to ask? And like I said, if not, that's totally fine. You can reach out to us later, and we can share, information, Teresa's contacts and stuff like that too. Because, like I said, you're really passionate about speaking at events, all of that. So,
Mhm. Probably my favorite way to share my story is through the Forrest Gump quote, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And realizing that our lives are like a pot of gold. And there's some chocolates in that pot of gold I don't like. I spit them out every time I bite into them. And that is really how our lives are. And yet, what makes a pot of gold? It's every single chocolate in that box.
mhm,
And you and I are gold. You are gold, I am gold. And we can share and pour our lives into people around us. And your box of chocolates is different than mine, but different is different, not wrong. And you are beautiful and created in God's image to be all that you were designed to be. And so, if you ever want me to be a part of an event, I'm so happy to do that. I have a webpage, teresarilling.ca, and you can reach me at teresarilling@hotmail.com. And I am happy to talk to you, talk with you about it, or if you just have something you need to talk about, please feel free to reach out.
yeah, I love it. And like again, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to share your story with everybody here. And yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank
Mm,
you. And thank you everybody for jumping on. And like I said, if you guys have questions,
thank
please
you.
um please reach out. Yeah. So I will.
Your baby.
Yeah. Now I can go have a baby, right? Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, if
exactly.
anybody
She's
doesn't know yet,
due.
I do have a baby. Yeah, in the next few days. So that's why I
Yeah.
was like, we got to get this Zoom done, and then I'm free to have my baby because I was so looking forward to you sharing your
Mm,
story, and
thank you.
I really wanted to get it out there. So thanks
Thank
again,
you.
and I hope everybody has a wonderful evening and reach out like any of my platforms and I will, like I said, I will get you in touch with Teresa or help answer any sort of questions. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye
Mm,
guys.
bye-bye.